Trump-backed Espriella holds razor-thin lead in Colombia's election as rival challenges vote. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share BOGOTA, Colombia. AP political outsider Abelardo Espriella held a razor-thin lead in Colombia's presidential election, with nearly all the votes counted Sunday in a runoff vote marked by people's fears of a renewed internal conflict. A victory by Espriella would effectively be an indictment of the policies of outgoing President Gustavo Petro, whose protégé had promised to continue his agenda if he defeated his rival, who is backed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Espriella, a businessman and lawyer who earned Trump's endorsement despite never having run for office, led progressive lawmaker Iván Cepeda, taking 49.7% of the vote, according to 99.9% complete results released by electoral authorities. Cepeda, Petro's ally, earned 48.7% support. Election officials have not formally announced a winner. Supporters of historic pact coalition presidential candidate Iván Cepeda attend his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Saturday, June 13, 2026. AP photo / Fernando Vergara. Supporters of historic pact coalition presidential candidate Iván Cepeda attend his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Saturday, June 13, 2026. AP photo / Fernando Vergara. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied print, email, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Supporters of presidential candidate Abelardo Espriella attend his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Sunday, June 14, 2026. AP photo / Santiago Saldarriaga. Supporters of presidential candidate Abelardo Espriella attend his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Sunday, June 14, 2026. AP photo / Santiago Saldarriaga. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied print, email, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Even before the result was known, Petro had already vowed to challenge it, and after the results were known, Cepeda said his team will challenge results from more than 30,000 voting stations. No recount has flipped the results of a presidential election in Colombian history. People in the streets of Bogotá yelled Petro out, and honked car horns. Both pitched voters widely different strategies to prevent the South American country from experiencing the nonstop merciless violence, such as car bombs, kidnappings, disappearances, and forced displacements that Colombians lived with in previous decades. Espriella, 47, promised a heavy-handed approach to crime fighting, including drug trafficking. He also said he plans to end Petro's attempts to establish parallel peace negotiations with multiple armed groups, an effort that has largely failed, and build mega-prisons emulating Salvadoran President Nayib Bukel's aggressive policies. Those tactics have lowered homicide rates in the Central American country, but have fueled accusations of human rights abuses. Read more. Espriella, nicknamed the Tiger, holds dual Colombian and U.S. citizenship, is a Trump supporter and a member of the Republican Party. We have had an armed conflict and a drug trafficking problem for too long, and this has greatly polarized the country, retired economist Victor Duque, 72, said while wearing a national soccer team jersey at a voting center in the capital, Bogotá. I believe it is one of the most important elections that has taken place in Colombia this century. President again sows doubts in the results in the first round. Cepeda earned 41% of the vote, while Espriella garnered 44%, according to official results. Petro, without evidence, sowed doubts in the results after Cepeda, who had consistently led polls ahead of the May vote, did not win outright and even finished behind Espriella. Petro reiterated his allegations on Sunday. Historic pact coalition presidential candidate Iván Cepeda wades during a campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Saturday, June 13, 2026. AP photo / Fernando Vergara historic PAC coalition presidential candidate Iván Cepeda wades during a campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Saturday, June 13, 2026. AP photo / Fernando Vergara. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied, print, email, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Presidential candidate Abelardo de la Espriella stands before supporters from inside a bulletproof booth during his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Sunday, June 14, 2026. AP photo / Santiago Saldarriaga presidential candidate Abelardo de la Espriella stands before supporters from inside a bulletproof booth during his campaign rally in Bogotá, Colombia, Sunday, June 14, 2026. AP photo / Santiago Saldarriaga. Add AP News on Google. Add AP News as your preferred source to see more of our stories on Google. Share Facebook, copy link, copied, print, email, X, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Flipboard, Pinterest, Reddit. Read more. Yolanda Hernandez, 49, voted early Sunday before she started selling black ink pens outside a Bogotá voting center. Clients, she said, buy the pens because ink cannot be erased from paper ballots, which reduces the possibility of fraud. Sign up for Morning Wire. Our flagship newsletter breaks down the biggest headlines of the day. Email address. Sign up by checking this box. You agree to AP's terms of use and acknowledge that AP may collect and use your data pursuant to our privacy policy. Hernandez, who recycles trash for a living, voted for Petro in 2022, but cast her ballot for de la Espriella this time. While she acknowledged that Petro was unable to deliver on promises meant to help the poor because of congressional gridlock, she said Colombia cannot afford another 4 years under his vision for the country. We want change in Colombia because it's always the same violence, always the same thing, Hernandez said. Petro said he was going to lower the cost of services, that he was going to lower the price of food, and everything is more expensive. Fighting between rebel groups plagues the nation. The election comes 10 years after Colombia signed a historic peace pact with guerrillas of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, or FARC, that had offered hope to break the nation's vicious cycle of fighting between rebel groups and the government. But violence has since roared back, particularly as most rebel groups abandoned their ideologically driven fight for the financial benefits of drug trafficking. Last year, authorities recorded 14,780 homicides, the most since at least 2015, and driven by clashes among illegal armed groups. Among those killed was conservative presidential hopeful Miguel Uribe. Extortions have also soared, reaching 13,417 cases in 2025, more than double the number tallied in 2015. De la Espriella, a political newcomer nicknamed the Tiger, promised to fiercely go after criminals and build 10 mega-prisons, emulating the policies of El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele that have lowered homicide rates, but have fueled accusations of human rights abuses. Cepeda said he will carry on Petro's fraught signature plan to achieve total peace by negotiating pacts with guerrillas and criminal gangs. The heavily criticized strategy that Petro kicked off in 2022 took until Thursday to see the first armed group, one with about 100 members, give up its weapons and begin a resettlement process that will lead to their reintegration into civilian life. Colombia's illegal groups have more than 27,000 members. Fernando Lozano, 34, decided to vote for the first time in a decade because of the vastly different proposals between Cepeda and de la Espriella, particularly the latter's intentions to face off with armed groups. Anyone would think it's not a bad thing to be able to end all this once and for all. But it's not as easy as it seems, Lozano said, adding that the combative approach already failed before and could only lead to more violence if tried again. You can't just go there and confront them and expect everything to be resolved in 6 months. That takes years.